Hello there, kia ora. Hutt City Council made headlines, or at least Chris Bishop's tweets, when the nominations came out, because 5 of the election races saw people elected unopposed. Sometimes that's a bad thing, because it means that people had hesitations about stepping up for whatever reason. And as a result of that, the Eastbourne Community Board ended up with someone who has links to Voices for Freedom, just walked straight back into the role. Sometimes, though, this is a vote of confidence that the people doing the mahi are doing a good job. And looking at the caliber of candidates, the community roots that they've got, the connections that they've built, and the aroha that they have for the Hutt, well, it's pretty evident in almost all of the candidates. I mean, this is going to probably be the shortest list that I do, and I'm kind of envious of the range of truly fascinating candidates who've put their hand in, and mildly surprised that 2 of them were actually in Lord of the Rings. One is a Marvel fan, and another got dressed up as a stormtrooper for a fundraising gig. Mad respect for that. Unfortunately, though, having a range of quality candidates like this make the small number of candidates I do see as having red flags even more prominent, especially when one is the face of a movement that Barack Obama called wrong, that philosopher Judith Butler described as one of the most dominant strains of fascism in our times, that Human Rights Watch called a rhetoric that fuels violence, isolates children, and perpetuates a climate of fear, that Dr. Kyle Tan from the University of Waikato called a scapegoat to reinforce white supremacist narratives, and Amnesty International called an organised backlash of hate that weaponizes fear and misinformation to roll back human rights. So, quick disclaimer, these are my red flags, which means that they're not going to be the same red flags for everyone, which is why you should still go out and research all of your candidates and see which ones share your goals and views and your vision for the future of the place that you call home. Of course, none of that is going to matter if you don't vote in this year's election, so make sure that your voting details are up to date. Usually, I'd actually kick off with the red flags I get from the mayoral candidates, but I got to admit, I don't have any to put up of the 4 people that have put their name forward. They all have a record of working in a variety of communities in a variety of ways. They all share a common goal of trying to lift the quality of life in Lower Hutt, and while they all have different focuses on how to achieve that, all 4 candidates seem to have plans and goals in place to achieve it. Honestly, it's the first mayoral race that I've come across where this has happened, so thanks, Hutt City. But running for council, there are 2 red flags being waved, and they're both in the at-large ward. First, there's Jonathan Gilbert. Gilbert's social media pages include content from disinformation propaganda channel Reality Check Radio, climate denying, as in he actually told Joe Rogan that climate doesn't exist, and darling of the conservative media sphere, Jordan Peterson, US election denier and congressman that was caught on a hot mic telling medical students that misinformation is a great way to trick your opponents, Rand Paul, and a clip used to often vilify the COVID response in Jacinda Ardern. As well as Trump fanboy Jim Jordan and whatever Russell Brand is these days. And then there's Suzanne Levy. She's a proud TERF and a leading figure in the Aotearoa anti-trans movement as the spokesperson for the ideologically driven Speak Up for Women, one of the leading organisations behind a number of New Zealand First culture war bullshit attempts, including petitioning them to legally define sex as reflecting a strict binary biological meaning, despite recognition from medical experts that sex, like gender, exists on a spectrum and isn't strictly binary. She's been known to call people like Chloe Swarbrick a deranged muppet. She's a regular contributor to far-right media outlets, the platform and disinformation propaganda outlet Reality Check Radio. She laid a complaint to the Media Council about the definitions used in prison for trans prisoners in a Herald article, which was thrown out because the headline used the definitions used within the justice system. She opposed inclusive gender statistics and government data around the census, and was even called out for allowing hate speech against trans people while claiming that the rhetoric aimed at Posey Parker was a limit on free speech. So when she says on her website that she will advocate in her community for everyone to have a voice, she's clearly demonstrated already that that's simply not true. Hutt City has a lot of great options for the roles that are open. There is so much experience across sectors, fields, passion areas, and more Lord of the Rings cast members per capita running than anywhere else in the country, which makes the choices for voters a bit more difficult. But having an abundance of decent candidates and only a couple that raise eyebrows is not the worst position to be in for voters, as long as they make sure they vote. Voting is done by postal ballot this year, with voting forms being sent out probably around the 9th of September. Hutt City Council is using first past the post, so you need to tick the candidates you like, and the future of Māori wards is on the ballot here. You can find more information about your local elections on the Hutt City Council website, or you can visit my website, paultheotherone.com/LG25 for other local government resources. Hey, thanks for checking out today's video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe so you get more updates as we go along. We deal with these guys for the rest of the year.